The Baltimore Ravens did the unthinkable. They actually went out and got Lamar Jackson, a wide receiver. He has another weapon. Let's talk about it. You see it here. Diontae Johnson traded from the Carolina Panthers to the Baltimore Ravens. Basically a pick swap of sorts. A fifth goes one way, a sixth comes back to the Ravens, fifth goes to the Carolina Panthers. And despite all of that, it's about the fact that the Ravens finally listen. Rashard Bateman had the drop heard around the world. You know I have it here. The drop heard around the world where this man dropped this ball, claims he lost it in the sun. And you see him pointing up. He thinks he wants us to really believe he lost that in the sun. He even reiterated that in the post game that he had it. He was tracking it all the way until it got right in his grill. Okay, ball's coming in, it's right at him, pause, and it goes all the way through, hits him, and he drops it. This is why Diontae Johnson is a Baltimore Raven today, because this was enough. The frustration on Lamar Jackson's face, the frustration on the sideline, it showed the weakness. If there's any Achilles heel with an offensive line that's been revamped under this Todd Monken system, bringing in Derrick Henry to establish quite possibly the most proficient rushing attack in National Checkdown League history, the only thing, the Achilles heel, is the wide receivers. And you're bringing in Diontae Johnson, who is he a can't miss, bona fide, elite, top tier #1 wide receiver? No. But is he better than Rashard Bateman? Yes. So let's get into the Rashard Bateman stats, because ultimately that's what you're looking for from the Ravens. You need production, and what you're getting from Diontae Johnson is, even this year with the Carolina Panthers, you see multiple games of double-digit targets. A couple of these games were with Andy Dalton, not with Bryce Young. So when he has competent QB play, he is targeted. He has volume. And this is a guy that can flash, and more than flash, this is a guy that can sustain and get you big play ability, yards after the catch. He's not just dinking and dunking. He's not a slant boy. He's not a stick route guy. He is a guy that has a very expansive route tree. So when you're bringing in Diontae Johnson, you're bringing in a guy that now with Zay Flowers as your number 2, now that you could slide Zay around, and now Bateman and Aguilar could be more their natural third and fourth wide receiver, because that's what they are at their peak. Despite what they may say, that's who they are. That's what they have shown us to be, right? So now Lamar has a legitimate guy that can draw doubles. Now, is every team going to double? No. Are the Chiefs going to double Diontae Johnson? No. They got McDuffie. Are the Texans going to double on your man's Diontae Johnson? No, they got Stingley. But for those lesser teams, for those teams that don't have a true lockdown #1 corner, Diontae Johnson is going to create trouble if you don't at least bring some safety help. So this is all that they needed. This was quite possibly the missing piece of this Ravens offense. As good as this offense looks, when the running game is just gashing folks, when they're able to mix and match, and Andrews is catching the pass, Likely is catching the pass, and the system allows at times for a plethora of guys to get a touch and get involved. It's like a motion offense in basketball. However, when it comes to the playoffs, all that stuff gets taken away. No one's going to let your third wide receiver beat you. Your best players have to beat their best players. And too many times in the playoffs, it's just been Lamar and a bunch of dudes. Now you can say Lamar, Derrick Henry, Diontae Johnson. That's competent to make another run into the playoffs and possibly get past the Chiefs to get to that vaunted Super Bowl. When you look at the trades that were made in terms of bringing in wide receiving talent, is Diontae Johnson the caliber of Davante Adams? No. Is he the caliber of Amari Cooper? No. Is he the caliber of D-Hop? No. However, he's the youngest of that bunch with the most upside of that bunch, and you only gave up a 5th-round pick to get him. You didn't give up a 3rd like everybody else on this list, right? So if you talk about what Diontae has left, he has way more left in the tank than these 3 other guys. These 3 other guys are more accomplished, and I would have preferred the Ravens go out there and get one of these other guys, but Davante Adams was never going to the Ravens. Amari Cooper, I don't know how much he brings to the table. He's a guy that could get open. He's the guy that does more intermediate stuff at this point in his career. And definitely the same with D-Hop, who's even older. So Diontae Johnson has the most juice left if you want to play into that type of game. And I think he still has ability to take the top off of defense. And that's something that this offense or just Lamar Jackson has not had. He's had guys that have had speed. He's had guys that are supposed to be, he had Odell. He's had Sammy Watkins. He had and lost and had again Nelson Aguilar. He's had guys that are supposed to be the deep threat, supposed to be the guys that can take the top off, but none of those guys had actually went out and proven it. Now, some of that could have been Greg Roman, but now even in this Todd Monken scheme, it's been very, very minimal opportunities for guys to take the top off the defense. Now with Diontae Johnson, you're looking at someone who actually can do it and was doing it for the Carolina Panthers when the whole world knew he was getting the rock because he was their only legitimate wide receiving weapon. When you look at what Diontae can do, as you see here in this tweet, the impetus behind the deal to get Diontae Johnson was improving their wide receiver depth. The Ravens have been thin there all year. The Ravens have been thin at wide receiver since Lamar got in the league, okay? But continue on. Johnson does have some return experience as well, and Ravens have gotten nothing from their return game all year. Could be an option to help the team in that area. Man, I'm telling you what, that may be cool. That man is there to catch touchdowns. That man is not there to return punts. That man is not there to return kickoffs. That man is there to be wide receiver one. Now, Zay Flowers may be the one while we get this transition of Diontae getting up to speed, but trust as this season goes along, I expect Diontae Johnson to be wide receiver one. Now, in terms of the philosophy and what this potentially could do in terms of opening up the offense, as you see here, the Ravens have used 11 personnel, which is one running back, one tight end, 3 wide receivers on just 28.1% of their plays this season, the NFL's lowest rate. That's because they don't have 3 legitimate wide receivers. You're talking about Zay Flowers, Rashard Bateman, and Nelson Aguilar. Diontae Johnson now moves all those guys down a notch to where it's Diontae Johnson, Zay Flowers, and now Bateman's your third. Now, again, I'm not the biggest Bateman guy, but I like him as my third a hell of a lot better than I did as him as my 2 and sometimes my 1. So with Diontae Johnson, it just moves the depth chart, puts things more in proper perspective. That's what you can expect. Now imagine you're getting 3 wide receiver looks and you still have the most proficient offensive rushing attack in NFL history with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. This potentially opens up a lot of things for the Ravens to be even better on offense. The main thing is that the Ravens finally caved. We have been begging for the Ravens to give Lamar a legitimate wide receiver for at least the last 3 years. Longer than that in actuality, but for sure the last 3 years. Now they have given him a legitimate wide receiver that could be looked at as a wide receiver one. You're not looking for an old Odell. You're not looking for a washed up Sammy Watkins or a Dez Bryant or trying to force Rashard Bateman into being something that he has shown that he is not. And even Zay Flowers, undersized. He's trying to be on some, Steve Smith stuff, but not necessarily. He's not there yet. You need someone who could be looked upon to get 12, 13 targets and know how to handle that workload. And that's what Diontae Johnson can provide. Sky's the limit now with a legitimate wide receiver being paired with soon to be the 3-time MVP, Lamar Jackson.